Our school environment and practice will be very different for a while. We'll need to change our perception of how a school should be, and this may include experiencing feelings of loss around what we used to have. To successfully adapt to this new environment, we need to accept the differences and commit to the change. We know that adaptation is necessary to move forward, but how do we do this with less stress while also supporting our children and colleagues? The concept of the circle of control is a useful tool to help children during stressful situations, like the one we find ourselves in right now. With the impact of the coronavirus and unanswered questions around the new autumn term for our children, it helps them to identify situations they can control versus the situations they cannot control. The science of control. The idea of control and how it's related to mental health was studied in a series of experiments in the mid-1960s. The findings were, when people believe that they have no control over bad things that happen to them, they eventually stop trying to make their life and circumstances better. This was called learned helplessness, and it's important to note that both actual control and perceived control, what you believe you have control over, affect mental health and well-being. E.g., children who underperform in school and don't have success with additional studying, they may begin to believe that nothing they will do will positively affect their performance. So they give up as they have learned that they are helpless and have no control over improving their circumstances. Using the circle of control model, we can help children to take back control. When we believe that we can control our surroundings, we perform better. We're less anxious and happier. Children may not have control over what's for dinner or how much Xbox time they have, but it's important for children to understand that they do have control in their lives and what they have control over, and focus on that. There is an exercise called the paper plate challenge that can help children to understand the circle of control. We'll talk about this more in our Zoom call. Endings can be difficult for us all, making us feel anxious about what's coming next and insecure about the relationships we're leaving. It's important, therefore, not to underestimate the impact this sense of loss can have. This is particularly true for the children who've only ever experienced unsupported and unplanned endings. The coming ending of term, therefore, offers us a great opportunity. An opportunity to help our children experience a proactive, positive and well-planned ending. Best practice here is about two key elements. 1. Preparation for the change. In the current situation, this is about being appropriately upfront with the facts, whilst acknowledging any unknowns. And 2. Demonstrating that we're holding our children in mind, sharing our hopes for the future as they move into their next phase. In the Zoom call, we will look at some specific approaches to help, including therapeutic letters and postcards, social or transition stories, as well as some suggested books and stories about endings. Following on from our first few slides, hopefully we've had time to consider the changes for our teaching, learning and general classroom environment in light of the current situation. We now want to consider ourselves. We're also busy planning, risk assessing and preparing to make the transition back to our classrooms or onto the new ones or schools as positive as possible for the children in our care. It's in our nature as educators, but what about us? If we really want to get it right for everyone else, that starts by making sure we're okay. We've attached a link to some positive self-care and wellbeing activities. If you get a chance, have a look. Take the time to see if any of these could be a positive step for you. We can discuss them in more depth during our Zoom call, but as the quote suggests, if we don't take care of ourselves, how can we properly take care of others?